Dave here, how are you? Today is the 16th of June, not too long to go to the winter solstice, and also at the end of the financial year in Australia. Today it is wet outside, raining and 10 degrees Celsius. It's not much warmer in here. So in Australia we call a thing that we put over the top a jumper. You guys in the States might call it a sweater or something like that. We call it a jumper, and some people think that's really weird, but you know, that's how it is. Anyway, today we have a packed show. I hear a few people haven't been well, you know, changing temperatures and all that kind of stuff. It is going to affect you. I had a bit of a sore throat during the week, and I thought, oh, here we go. I'm going to catch the flu, or I've got some bug. And I had options, of course. Not worry about it. Let it run 2 weeks. Go and see a doctor and get some antibiotics. And I thought, no, what I'll do is I'll go to an old formula to start, see if that knocks it on the head. And it did. Saltwater gargle. You know, some of the basic things we bypass and just go straight to the extreme thing. So saltwater gargle a couple of times a day, 2 days, gone. Totally gone. I was thinking I may have to get someone, I'd have to do deaf and dumb sign language and get someone here to actually do the talking for me. But we didn't. There you go. So here we go. Enjoy the chat. I hope the stream's coming through well. And you're laid up with shingles, lemon and honey, hot water and brandy. Well, that's a little bit more expensive than my remedy. I just got salt, put it in a thing of warm water, swelled her up, gargle, gargle. It doesn't sound great, but anyway. Big show today. Here we go. All right, morning everybody in the chat, and I hope the chat is big enough for everyone to see on the side of the screen. If you're watching on a TV or a mobile phone or a tablet, this is for you guys. If you're watching on an ordinary computer, you will see all that stuff anyway. I need you to check in the description box below. There is a competition for eye muffs again, as I say, every 4 weeks. George from eye muffs has said, Dave, we'll send out a pair of eye muffs anywhere in the world to the person who wins. So this week, you need to actually make a comment in the comments section below the video. You can do this while the video is going or after the show's finished in the recording. Doesn't matter. Not in the chat section. You guys chat away in the chat section, but it must be in the comment area. I've already put 2 comments in, commenting about what's in the show today and something else. That's where it's all got to go. Now, do that, and what happens, and also in the actual Rafflecopter competition, and then what I'll do is I'll hit the random thing on Rafflecopter. It finds a winner, and then I will check those comments down below to make sure. If you haven't put a comment in there about what the question's about, you will be deleted, and I'll move on to the next one that collects, that random Rafflecopter selects, I should say. So all forewarned. Here we go. So salvage and antique dresser, I continue with the project. So this part here is what I'm going to work on today. So this panel up here is smashed. So what I've got, and we'll do this straight off the bat. At the show, which it was a fantastic show, I bought some Australian cedar. Now, to economize on the cedar, what I've done is I'm doing 2 of these panels. So I got them out of the one piece, cut like that, rather than, you know, wasting 2 triangles. Why would you do that? So one will go one way. Let me see if I can stand it up like that. These will basically go either side. The mirror supports will come up here, the mirror in the middle, and these will have fancy scroll work, and I have to shape this hence as per. Whoop! That could have been dangerous because that landed on the keyboard. Maybe it turned the show off. So, as I say, like so, like so. You can see where I'm going with it. So first thing we need to do is thickness it down. So how about we do that straight away? I'm madly looking around for my eye muffs because I use them all the time in the workshop. Found them. And I'm back again. And what I've done is I've set this little camera up here over onto the side to, what is an Australian thing? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to throw another one up, so which is the main camera, chat, and second cam. Here we go. I'm going to switch that over, and so you can see what's going to happen here. Whoop, yeah, on this one. See, I'm pointing at you at the other camera. I love this. All right, here we go. Specs and all that stuff on. And I'm going to turn my dust extractor on, first of all. And I'm going to run these through. I'm going to do the back of them. I need to thickness this down. Let me have a look at what I need. Calipers, here's the tip as well. I leave the battery just proud on mine, so when it doesn't go flat. Little tip. And then hit the 0. And I need to measure the thickness of the original. And that's 23 millimeters. This one is 29. So I need to, whoop, I keep back to front, so I've got to stay behind this thing. 29, so I've got to get down to 23. I got the dust extraction working. I'll just make sure I'm at the right height. Drop it down a little bit, release the lock. Okay, I normally try and take just over 0.5 millimeter in a pass. Cedar will be okay. I need to go against the grain. And, oh, sorry. And I'm going to feed the pair of them in one at a time, and to reduce any snipe, I'm going to feed the other one in hard behind it. That's the plan. First cut. This might be a bit noisy. This one first. I got to be quick with this. Not too far. What's going on there, David? Went the wrong direction. That's better. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come around this side of the camera. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera a little bit so you can watch how efficient this dust extraction is. This is brilliant. Watch this. Okay, you need to watch. Actually, I'll put it on this one here. I'll tip it down a little bit. I love this stuff. I love watching the dust go up the chute. Here we go. That way and that way. All right. Drop it down again. To there. There we go. I love this machine. I'm going to check the thickness we're at. We needed to get down to 23. We're down to 25.7. And I tell you now, even though I'm putting them through together to try and reduce snipe, I've just checked the end of the boards. Let's have a look at this one. Nothing. And this one? Nothing. This way. Yep. Drop it down again. Down. One full rotation is good on this. Being cedar, I can do this. If it was a hardwood, I would not be able to do this. When I say not be able to do this, I mean take that much of a pass in one go. We're down to 24. So one more pass should do us. I'll move this back a little bit so we can see a little bit more of what's happening. One more rotation. I keep on forgetting which one I've gone. It's that one. No, it's that one. I'll get there. Beautiful. And the dusty off. Earmuffs off. Now, I'll go back to this other camera here, like so. All right. Now I've got the thickness down to exactly what I want. I'll tell you what, I see no snipe at all. Check the other one. Can you see any? Nothing. It's a great little machine. All right, we're going to check the width, the thickness I should say. And I'm down to 22.7. That'll be fine. Now, I was going to run it through the drum sander if I needed to, but there's no real need. And we're on 10 past or 12 past because it's come out of... Oh, I better do what I said, hadn't I? Back the battery housing back, and it turns it off before I put it back in there. It comes out of there so nicely. And I've got 60 grit paper in the drum sander ready to go if I needed to. Now, I had a few people say to me at the show, Dave, you know what? I love what you were doing with the drum sander, but obviously you needed to scrape the shellac off the top before you put it through. And also you need to run that belt cleaning stick every pass if you're going through something that's already had a finish on it, because it will bog up. The more you do it, the more it's going to burn it onto the belt. And next thing you know, yeah, the belt's stuffed. And it's stuffed. Put a brand new 60 belt on it, 60 grit, and it's amazing. I did exactly that when I was preparing one of the other tops. Give me a sec, I'll grab one of the tops. I'll show you the one that I've just been working on. And it is this one here. I'll bring it back up here so you can see. So this is one of the tops. Now, it's a satin finish. It's not a high gloss. It's a satin. I'm trying to get it so that it looks shiny from the lights above. See, those lights are really strong. So if I show you like so, you'll see it's not so bad. And this here, down this side, that was the front. This was all mangled. It used to look like that, but it was all mangled from sliding along the road. So what I did was an offcut from the top of the actual dressing table. I ripped and I joined it across, cut the front off this particular one, glued it on, run it through the drum sander. See, that it's not a bad match. Have a look at that. Down here you can see it's a bit obvious, but catch me. It's a little bit more obvious there. And see these holes in the back? They're for the screws that hold it onto the draw unit. Now they were also on the back. Now where's one? There's one right there. Don't know if you can see it. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, that hole, bit of glue and sawdust from this, patched it up, and then I ran it over the router table, 3 different cutters, and got that profile, and it's come up really nicely. And then a long time with a sanding block and down through the grades, and then 3 coats of Liberon finishing oil. The trick to that is this guy here, microfiber cloth. 10 minutes after you put the oil on, rub it. Now it'll be hard sometimes to drag it, but that takes the shine off and takes all the extra oil that hasn't soaked in, and that gives you a satin finish. and also gets rid of those little dots. You can hit it with steel wool and wax after that if you want to. Your call. Okay. Win a pair of IMF's international competition. Yep, my bad, missed it. Well, it's there. It's there. Dave said he'd run the random generator list to get a name, then check that against the comments. Yes, I will. I shouldn't be watching those comments down there because it slows me down. Now, one of the other things, we're going to keep on working. Yeah, I'm getting lost. I'm going to keep working with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this shape out on the bandsaw. So to do that, I'm going to do the pair of them in one hit. So I'm going to use good old double-sided tape. I was thinking about putting a screw through the bottom here because it's not an area where it's going to be seen, but I thought, you know, why not just use the tape? So tape there. Yeah, the old saltwater gargle, you know, amazing. It's one of those things that our parents would have used. And good advice. Ah, no, don't fold up on me. That's terrible when that happens. I'm going to go to CAD CAM so you can see what's happening. Where are we? There we go. So this is what I'm doing down here. You can see what's happening. This double-sided tape, and as I said, the trick to this is scratch it up a little. Like so, then you can get a hold of some of it. And it should start to drag off because it's a horrible thing to try and get. See, it just came off beautifully. There we go, around that side, and it should peel back. Got it, got it, gotcha. A little bit there. All right. This is the one I want, and I'm going to put it like so. Oh, you can see over here, these are the mirror supports that I've sanded up to 4,000. They're beautiful. All right, I'm going to put it on here without it just going stupid. Got him. Sore throat might be from chatting all last week. It could have been, John Luke. All right. Don't forget, if you want to enter that competition, you must put a comment in the comment section below. And it's got to be pertaining to what was asked for on the Rafflecopter site. All right, where am I up to? This I'm going to take over to the bandsaw. So what I'll do is I'll let you guys watch what's happening. Main camera and chat transition to there. I'm going to move this guy away and undo that. Now this is clamped to the table to keep it safe so it doesn't go rolling, and I've got locks on the wheels as well so it doesn't go rolling away. And now I just move him over there, and I'll move this camera and bring this guy in. I want to put it in such a position where you can see what's happening. Whoop, what do I call it there? That's the clamp. Move it. There we go. You should be able to see what's going to happen there. I'll plug him in again. Like so. And the dust extraction port. Tighten him up. Good. And the dust port is open. I'll move this little camera to, let me see, there. Should be okay. And switch the cameras. Okay. You always move this by, always knock the table out of square if I grab it for wheeling it about. By the fence or table, you knock everything out of alignment. You know what, guys? The wheels on this thing are brilliant, and the lock on this table is fantastic. But thank you very much for the info. I'm going to switch this around back to there so you can see what's going on. I think that'll work. So if I'm over this side, you'll see what's going on. And again, I'm going to wear the eye muffs. And I need to get the height correct. Reduce that, and up we go. And down a touch, lock him, and then take it off the wheels. I won't touch the table. There we go. You happy, guys? All right. So that's all good. I'll turn the Dusty on. Quick drink of coffee. And roger that. Dust extractor, come on. There we go. All right. I'm not going to, you can see what's happening here. I'm not going to finish off. I'm just going to take it running up. I will shape that later on. I want to follow this line. I've got a black felt line beside it so I can see the pencil line a bit better. Let's see how we go. I'm going to do some relief cuts to start. This has got a brake on the blade. It's an electronic brake. So rather than drag it, that's pulled all the way back. So rather than turn it, rather than drag it backwards and risk pulling the blade back off all of the gear there, that's what I've done. All right. And they say that one of the important things when using a bandsaw is to always keep pushing forwards while you're turning. Now this blade's a little bit too tight for making that full turn, so I've gone to the relief cut. And I can come in again. I'm nowhere near as good as Alan, who was at the show. But nonetheless, it's easier than using a jigsaw. Again, back to the relief cut. I'll turn him off there. I'm just going to move that little divot out of the way. How are we doing for time? I don't want to be on this past half past because I want to get onto the Aspire software. Go again. There we go. I'm going to shift those two little guys out of the way. Wait for it to stop. Gotcha. I'll do another cut here. I'll do another relief cut here. Gotcha. And here we go. Okay, coming up to the pencil line now. So just starting to get a little bit tight there. Man, I'm glad I did that. I can move that without turning it off. This big line, don't worry about that. It's the pencil line behind it that I'm following. That big line is just an indicator for me. There we go. I'm going to leave that like that for the moment. See the marks there? That's as it was starting to get tight in the cut. Hence those relief cuts are very, very important. All right. Turn that off. There we go. I have 2 of those now. I'll take these off and switch back to the other screen. So that's what I have there, and I'll show you again what I have here. I think that's going to work fine. What do you reckon, guys? So the next thing to do is I will use my bobbin sander and I'll sand the inside of this. As I said, up here, I'm going to do a little bit of shaping because this has to go beside it. There. Now this can support a finial, or it can be rounded because the mirror is up that way, rounded that way because the mirror is going to be here. I think it had finials there, but I don't know. I might have to make some more. Theo made some for me, and that's the next thing we're going to look at. So Theo, the wood turner, made these. Now I'm going to switch cameras to CAD CAM so you can see it easier. Up to there. So these are the 2. Now the one on my left, this one, is the one that Theo made for me at the show, and that was brilliant watching that. And then this one is the original. I'm going to clean this one up to look like this. Now why? Because the other parts that I'm cleaning up, and this is a part that I've cleaned up, that is a much better match than that. All right? You want to see, I could have done it like that with a pattern following bit, but it's more fun using the bandsaw. Okay, you want to see the quality of the cut. It's not bad. It's straight. You want to see how good it? Let me get the square out and we'll have a look. I haven't prepped for this part, so let's go to the main camera again. You can see my hands there. I haven't changed anything. So you want to see, oh, how good is that? Look at that. And then up the other side. I don't know if you can see it from there. We'll flip it right over, and that's a good indicator, isn't it? Because it's not bad, and I'm happy. I'm happy with the quality of the cut. As I say, a little bit on the disc sander and the bobbin sander in there, and away we go. Now we're going to clean, we'll clean one of these up, and I did this the other week, but let's do it again. This stuff, the polish reviver that I was using, and the steel wool. Now last week we were at the show, weren't we? So it was the week before. Vicky cringed when she saw me drag that out of there and polish. She said, "Oh, you cut yourself," because she had a nasty accident with steel wool, but it was much coarser than this, and it did cut into her finger. So this stuff, being 000, isn't going to have the same effect. Couldn't use a router or pattern following bit. Damn fine work. Thank you, Derek. If you could about switching the cameras, make the close-up, the big frame, and the full view, the insert frame. Thanks for that, Rick. Look, I'm a guy in the shed. I'm doing what I can. You guys just follow along. All right, so I've got that, and this is the one I want to clean up. Maybe I'll go to CAD CAM for this one as well. It's just a little bit easier to see it. So here it is. And I've got the polish reviver on it. And the 000 wool. Oh, I can tell you already. Oh, look at that. Tummy's hanging out. I can tell you already how nice that is. See the part I'm cleaning up already in comparison to what's there? I've only done this end. I haven't done this part yet. I'll do that part now. How to hold it. I'll switch the cameras back again. Look, thank you very much for the suggestions. I'm not meaning to be rude. In place of the bobbin sander. Oh, you know what? That's a great idea. I might do that on the show next week. And I've got something interesting to show you. Depending on whether or not John and Julia can get out of hospital. If you follow the little family we've got here, you'll know that John is a regular at Canberra Hospital because of his polycystic kidney disease, which is a hereditary thing. And poor bugger used to be a fantastic cyclist, you know, unbelievable athlete. And this debilitating hereditary thing that's got him has reduced, he's lost one kidney already, and the other kidney just looks like some kind of horrible thing with golf balls hanging out of it all over the sides. It's massive, you know, it's a couple of kilos. Most kidneys are only smaller than your fist. Anyway, Julia, his wife, has got blood clots on her lung. What are these? You know, there's a saying, oh, it must have run over a Chinaman. Well, I don't know how many Chinese people are in Canberra and whether I should actually be saying that, you know. But it's an old saying. We get so controlled. There's no offence meant by it. It's just a saying. Anyway, so Julia, if you're watching, we're all just thinking, my coffee cup is nearly empty. We're all thinking about you, you know. You normally are the person who's the tower of strength down there looking after Johnny's mum. So, look, guys, send Julia a little bit of a cheerio and help wish her well, try and get her spirits up because she's stuck in this hospital bed in intensive care. You know, it's no small thing. One of those blood clots goes head into your brain. Well, there's a stroke. We take everything for granted. I live a life of milk and honey. I've got to tell you, I've got a cruisy life. I don't get sick. I always seem to have plenty of energy. I don't know. And then some people just get dealt a shitty set of cards, you know. What a difference. You know, I was talking all the time there just to take your mind off what I was doing here. Paper towel, and then we'll get into Aspire. And I'll do a little bit of this. This will be fun. I enjoy this part. Thanks, guys. You know, it just means a world of niceness, if that's a word. For if someone's stuck there and can't do anything, and as I say, we all take it for granted. We're cruising along. And we know there's hospitals there. We know there's people in there sick, but we don't know those people. But these people we do know. They're part of our little group here, our family. What a difference. Going to CAD CAM. Here we go. Tell me which one's which. Oh, well, it's obvious which one's which. I haven't really finished. But look, this is the one I've just finished cleaning up. And I guess it just depends on where the light is. What a difference. All right. I better put the lid back on that because it stinks. My coffee is nearly empty. I better work on that. Can't have that sitting around doing nothing. All right. Next one. We'll go back over here to the main camera. Now what we're going to do is, I'll just grab the wind chimes from out here. Now, my mother-in-law will switch the cameras. My mother-in-law is a fan of, you know, things that are nice in the garden. So I have this set of wind chimes, which is a monster. These things make a beautiful tone. And these used to be hanging up in my willow tree above an area where we had a kind of a nice big table and seats underneath it. But the thing is, the string holding it up rotted, and every now and then one of these things would just come spearing down like a javelin. And I thought, That's no good. We've got to move them. So I took them down, and they've been sitting in the shed for ages. And I thought, high time, we'll set them up outside her place, and some more chimes for her. So here we go. I'm going to put those all to the side, and I'm going to take us all into a spire. Let me see if I've got all of this here. Main camera with a spire. Now I'm going to do a transition in a second. So what will happen is it's going to take everything over to here that I'm looking at, which is what's running the show, and then I'll load a spire up. And I think I'll have a picture of me down in this corner here talking, and then a spire will be up on the screen, and we'll still have the chat coming down here. Fingers crossed for me, please. Okay, everybody, fingers crossed. Here we go. Transition, and I'm going to open a spire, and that should be working. Now I need someone to make a comment, please, that the small window is being shown. Get a bit of this towel. Give me a second. Itchy nose. All good, thank you. All right, what we're going to do now, for people out there that are CNC people, I'm going to be a bit slow because this is what happens. Now we're opening up a new file. I'm hoping everyone can see it. It's going to be single-sided. The dimensions, I will just check what I've got over here written on the sheet, because I've got a board on the machine already. 675 by 430. Let me have a look. What have I got there? 670. Yep, I'll do 675 instead of 677. So we'll backspace and go 5, and that's all good. I'm going to be working from the 0 position is the material surface, the top of the board, not the machine bed, because that would have been ugly. Thickness is 18 millimeters, correct, and it is millimeters, not inches. It's single-sided. My datum point is the bottom left corner, which is going to be the closest corner to my left hand on the board. Remember that X is across, Y is along, and Z is coming down. The plan view, this is God's view, looking down. All this stuff here we don't need to worry about. It's going to look like pine, but I want it to look like cherry. So let's see if I've got cherry there, because that's going to be the closest to what it's going to look like, which is marine ply. And I'm going to say, okay, when it goes to a 3D view. So I can click this, and that's what the timber is going to look like. All right, who's talking to himself? You guys make these comments. Small window visible. Excellent. Now, yeah, there's no one in front of me. I can't see what's happening out there. All I can see is a spire and the chat down the side. Down there. All right. I'm going to create a circle here. Now, these circles are what's called vectors. So if you haven't done anything with CAD, this is computer aided design or computer aided drawing, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to click on this thing here, which says draw a circle. Now it's showing the coordinates there, X and Y. I want it to be on 200 and also 200, just up from the corner, the same amount. And the radius, the diameter of the circle, I want it to be 180 millimeters. Now I could click the create button and that would all work, or I can just drag this around and I can look at the coordinates. See up here, that's on 200, and up the side here, that's on 200. So if I kind of went in the middle there, you can see the coordinates are popping up. I could click there and it would do the circle, or I can just click on create and there it is. Now close. Now that vector is sound asleep. If I left click here, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing down there. I'm going to tip that camera down a little bit, and hopefully you'll be able to see what's happening on the keyboard as well. Is that any better, guys? Can you see what's happening on the keyboard? Here and here. So I'm going to left click just for CNC, or can I use it to design my workshop projects? Just for CNC, I think. Now I'm going to left click on the mouse and I'm going to drag it up and I'm going to wake that vector up. So I'm letting go of the left button on the mouse. And there you go, I've woken that vector up. Now I'm going to create another circle or two in here. So up the top here I've got this thing called snapping. So that's going to snap to geometry and also smart snapping. And that's going to help me a lot. So here we go, I'm going to go to this, create a circle, and I'm going to do 130 millimeters this time. And I'm going to just go there. See how that little dot pops up? That's called smart snapping. I could put a circle there, or I could bring it across, and there we go. Circle is dead center with the others. As I said, I could have hit this apply, but you know, this is quick. Now I'm going to do another, can you hear the rain outside? It's bucketing down. I'm going to do a 7 millimeter circle in the center. Again, there it is. So I have these, and I'm going to do another circle up here for the donga. So this is where this is going to be the, let's close this. This is the outside of the circle. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can all see it. This is the line that the holes are going to be drilled in. And this is the center where I'm going to drill a hole later on. This is going to be a 7 millimeter depression, just letting me know where the dead center of the circle is. All right, now, I want 8 holes because these pipes, let me see if I've got one of these here, if you can see it. These pipes have got these holes either side. It's a little bit of pipe through the middle, and that's so that it doesn't, so it holds it steady, balanced, and also it doesn't deaden the sound of the pipe. So I need to create 8 holes. Now what I'm going to do, the quickest way, is I'm going to go to the polygon, draw a polygon tool, and I've already set it to 8, but I could go to 9 if I want to. So I want 8 sides, and half of the diameter, of course, half of 130 is 65 millimeters. So that's what it says up here, the radius I've made 65. Create. Well, I'm just going to go there. Done. Now that's pretty sexy. All these other 2 vectors are sound asleep. This one's awake, and this one's asleep as well. Now at every one of those intersections of the polygon to the circle, that's a smart snapping point for geometry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the circle, 7 millimeters is what I want, and I'm going to go there, smart snapping. Left click, left click, left click, left click. If you've got a computer game on your computer, you may want to consider binning it and put something on there like this to have some fun with. Now I'm clicking off to the side here with the left mouse button, and that's put all the vectors to sleep. Now I'm going to highlight this circle and this polygon by left clicking and dragging up over the pair of them, and it's woken those 2 up. Now I'm going to push the delete button, and they're gone. How cool is this? Now this is very similar to a piece of sandpaper. That's amazing. With the dust extraction holes. Now what I want to do is I want to create slotted holes. I don't want to have just individual holes because I want this to drain correctly when it gets wet on the outside. So I'm going to go over to the rectangular vector, and I'm going to come over and I'm going to smart snap onto the bottom, drag up until I hit the top there, and then let go. Going to do the same here, and the same here, and I hope they're working, and the same here. All right, close. And you might say to me, Dave, well that looks fantastic, but what's all this rubbish here? We've got a special thing called a welding tool. Okay, so I've highlighted, woken all these vectors up here, and I said, you know what, I don't want anything in the middle, I want everything on the outside to stay there. So over here we've got this welding tool. There's 3 different functions, but watch this. How's that? And I'm going to do it to this one, weld those together, and the good thing about using the welding tool is there's no holes in the vectors. If it's not a continuous vector, sometimes my machine doesn't like it. So there we go, weld that one together as well. There we go. Now I have that there, and I'm going to, I think I'll stop at this point here, And what we're going to do now is we're going to go with what's called computer aided design. So I'm going to click this button up here, which is going to take us over to the toolpath commands. Now you'll see here I've got a whole new menu bunch over here. Now I'm only going to be using this guy here, that one, and that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of it, woken all of the vectors up, and I'm going to set it up for a spiral down cutter because I don't want any tear out. I don't have a spiral up down at the moment for a 1/4 inch cutter. I'm going to do all these with a 1/4 inch cutter. All right, coffee. Are you sticking with me so far, guys? Is this interesting or is it just a bit boring for you? With anything, this is basically just doing a drawing on a computer instead of a drawing with a piece of paper and a pencil. But this allows me to get extremely accurate and do stuff on the CNC. So what we're going to do is we're going to I'm going to push the shift button and I'm going to select that vector and that vector. And I'm going to, hold on, no, I'm going to select them all again. I'm just going to remove this one. I'm being an idiot. All right, that'll do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the toolpath, profile toolpath. I'm going to give it a name down here. And we're going to hit the caps lock. Perimeter, spiral down. Now that's going to let me know when I save everything what I'm doing. So I want it to cut 3 millimeters and I want it to start from the 0 point. The tool I'm using is a 1/4 inch, which is 0.25 of an inch, sorry, 1/4 inch, which is 6.35 millimeters, spiral down. I'm going to have a look at what speed it's turning at, and 18,000 RPM, and it's going to go 3 meters per minute. That's fine. Leave that there. And I want it to go around the outside. I don't want it to go on the inside of the vector, I want it to go on the outside of the vector, which means it's going to go that direction. In conventional, if it was climb, it would go the other direction. The climb means it wants to climb out of there, big time. So be careful with that. Make sure that you've got conventional. When you're doing carving, it's always climb, but conventional for when you're cutting out. I don't need any tabs or anything like that. I'm 10 millimeters down here. See that says the safe Z? That means whenever the machine goes to another point to start doing something, it's going to go up 10 millimeters above the board so it doesn't just start plowing trenches all the way through the job. Okay, so that's all good. And I think I've got everything there. I don't want to do any separate passes. I don't want to add tabs at this point because I'm only going 3 millimeters. Calculate. Now you can see there, it's shown it to me on that pine. I don't want pine, I want cherry. Why it did that, I have no idea. Cherry, there, lovely. Okay, now I can preview this and I'm going to slow it down a little bit so we can see it happen. Here we go. There we go. Now that blue is a color that's not the same as the background. If the cutter goes all the way through the board, I would see that mauve, not the blue. And I can have a look at the other side by rotating it. I'm pushing my left mouse button down, I'm pushing the mouse away from it. And you can see nothing has come through. Now I can go back over here, see this Z? It's going to say, I want to see the plan view. I push Z and it takes it back automatically. There it is. Now I want to do some more work, so I'm going to go out of 3D back over to 2D. And I'm going to do some cutting on these. Now I can highlight the lot again and then click on, let me see. These, no, let's start that again. I'm just going to highlight them individually. That one, and that one. So I've left clicked on the mouse button and dragged it while pushing on the shift key. It's not the control key, it's the shift key. We'll close this one. Now I want to do another toolpath and I'm going to call this slots, spiral down, slots. spiral down. Now we're going to run over time a little bit today, but that's okay. 3 millimeters is correct, and instead of on the outside, I want it on the inside of the vector, so it's going to go around the inside. Don't worry, I've had that mistake happen before. Everything is good there. All good, all good, all good. Calculate. Done. We'll have a quick preview of how it's going to go. Done. All right, now the thing is, the string is going to go from here to there, and from here to there, and from here to there, and from there to there. They're going to, that's where the tubes are going to be held. This one in the middle is where the string is going to be going down through the middle to hold the donger and the little wind paddle. Close that and go back to 2D. Right, now whilst I've got that there like that, I'm going to create another, we'll just shut that. I'm going to create another toolpath, and I'm going to call this spiral up, because we have to change the tool and do that kind of thing. Give me a second. Okay, well, I'm starting to read some of the chat here at the same time. I shouldn't be distracted. All right, spiral up, and we're going to do the same toolpaths, and this time we're going to make it 18.2 millimeters deep. And I want to edit the passes down to 3. So I'm going to click on that to 3, okay. And I need to go on the inside, which is correct. I don't want any ramping. I'm going to call this slots spiral up. And I'm going to, I think everything is good. When I click calculate, it's going to warn me that I'm going to cut through the material. There it is, 18 millimeters. Your cut is 18.2. Are you okay with that? Sure am, buddy. That's what I wanted. Now I'm going to preview that, and it'll take me all the way through. You can see the mauve appearing in the background. And I can roll the whole thing over so you can see on the other side, I have in fact come through. Go back to the Z view. And now I'm going to go back to 2D, close this view over here, and we're going to go onto the outside. And we're going to create the toolpath for that one. And we're going to go on the outside of this guy, 18.2. I don't want 6 passes, I want 3 again, because 6 passes, why would I? 6 millimeters is fine in one pass with that cutter. Now here I need to be careful. I need to add some tabs. Now the tabs are the thing that I was talking about the other day on the video that I've just done. They're going to be 8 millimeters long and 2 millimeters thick at the bottom of the slot. And that's going to stop this thing, when it's cut all the way through, getting hit by the router cutter and flying across the room or smashing something. So I need to edit the tabs now, and I want a constant number of 3 tabs. Add them, and there they are. Now I can add tabs by just left clicking on there, or I can left click on an existing tab and get rid of it. That's good. And we're going to have a look. I'm going to make sure everything's right. 3 passes outside of the vector. Tabs are there. Safe zone is 10 millimeters. Calculate. I know it's going to go through. And now we're going to have a look at how it looks. Around she goes, 2 rotations, 3rd rotation, and left the tabs. There's the tabs there. See, it's like an Airfix kit. It's holding it together so that, you know, that could be dangerous. I'll flip her over and just make sure that I've gone all the way through on everything. Yep, beautiful. Back to there. And now, if I click on each one of these toolpaths and up and close this thing and have a click on the clock, it's going to tell me how long it's going to take to cut this out. 3 minutes and 55 seconds to do the whole job. But I do have to do the tool change, so you know it's going to be a little bit longer than that. Close that. Now I'm going to save the first 2 as a pair of toolpaths, like this. And you see it says spiral down, because I've got to change the cutters during the process, and I want it to be saved as Mach 3 in metric. So there's a whole heap here that I could choose from. That's the one I need for my machine. Save the toolpath, and I'm going to the USB, which is, I think it's this guy. and perimeter spiral down. That'll be a good enough name for it. And so that's saved. And now I'm going to close those two, and I'm going to highlight the bottom two, and I'm going to call those save the toolpaths slots spiral up. That's fine. Right. Now I'm going to get out of this, and let me see if I can minimize that and go back to the main camera. Are you guys learning anything? You know, that's reasonably quick, and it's very basic. You know, other people are much better at this than me. But you know, let's head over to the CNC, and I'll get that main second camera. Where are we? There it is. And I'm going to transition it now and take it out here. Where are we? And hopefully it doesn't catch on anything on the way through. And I'm going to check that everything is looking okay there. You know what, that's not too bad. I'll tip it up a little. I can't quite see it from where I'm at. There we go. How's that? All right. First, I won't be able to read any of the chat while this is happening. Mini Dave's everywhere. Yep. Michael, you're enjoying it? That's great. All right, I need my eye muffs, and I think I will use my remote as well out here. I won't put the eye muffs on quite yet. I'll turn the other lights on out here. There we go, a little bit more light. Now, I'm going to turn the machine on, and I'm going to load up. You might want to watch what I'm doing on the monitor as well. How's that? Yep, you can see. All right, so down here, Mac 3, enter, and it's going to load up. So the first thing that's going to happen is the reset button's flashing. So I need to say, yeah, I'm aware. That's a little safety thing, so it just doesn't start. Now I'm going to bring that guy back here, and to do it quickly, you push the shift button. Close enough, and then across, and then down. I don't push the shift button when it's going down. I don't want it to smash itself. Back over here. I'll bring this back over here now, because this is an interesting part. In there at the moment is the spiral down cut. So it's going to turn this direction, but it's going to actually be pushing the fibers back down into the board, not lifting them. So that should give me a clean cut on the top. I need to get the USB stick, because one of the important things is to load the G-code in before you do what's called ref all home. So I'm going to load the code in, and let me see, spiral down, perimeter spiral down. So that's the one I'm after. And that was created at 11:56 on June. So there we go. Okay, so what we do now is close. Yeah, I mean, what I'll do is I'll close that, and I'll just go straight. I'm going to load the code here. That's the USB stick, perimeter spiral down, slot spiral up. Done, spiral down, open. So now it's loaded all the code into here. And you can see over here it's got some stuff happening. And now it's all gone to metric. So I need to ref all home. And so what it's going to do is it's going to take this up to me and across till it's home. So up she goes. This is the machine is now talking to the computer and getting itself sorted as to it knows where it is. Okay, now you can see over here, it's going to look really weird because it says it's 200 millimeters away from where things are, minus 1.6, minus this. So now I'm going to use the touchpad to tell it where this corner is. So I'm going to now page down and across the x-axis and then back down the y-axis a little bit, maybe back a little, sneak it around. Now we've got this thing called a touchpad. This guy here is what's called a touchpad. This is a magnet that's going to, well, first of all, I've got these lips or little edges on the pad, and it sits on the corner of the material that I'm going to be cutting. This is magnetic and connects to there. Now what's going to happen, when I tell it to auto 0 Z, X and Y, this cutter is going to come down and touch. I can touch this because the variable frequency drive is turned off. This is dead. Nothing can start this. So it's going to come down until it touches the brass plate, and that will be its connection. That's completed an electrical circuit, and it will stop. And then it will say that is 0, and then it's going to come across to this side on the X, and then it's going to come across to this side here on the Y. Now I need to turn the cutter sideways so that the perimeter of the cutter is actually touching it, not inside a flute, which would give it a false reading. Okay. Don't you love this stuff? I enjoy it so much. Now over here, you can watch what I'm doing here. Just down here, it's called Auto Tool 0. The code is in. I'm going to Auto Tool 0, X, Y, and Z is all automatically done. Now I can click the OK button, or I can just push the Enter button. Don't hit the Shift button, it goes a different direction. Enter. You watch. I stay over here beside the emergency stop just in case for the first part. Done. Now I'm going to make it travel this way and touch here. Because I've rotated the spiral cutter to the point where the edge of the flute is going to be the most outside part of that circle, or the perimeter of it, should be fine. Enter and it'll travel across. Now I'm going to rotate it this direction because it's going to go down the y-axis now and touch over here. That's all sitting well. Down she goes until it touches and completes the circuit. Back and up. Beautiful. Now, you'll notice when I take all this off and put it down here, I'll put it on a sponge cushion, you'll notice that all of the coordinates now are different. It's saying 0 is 24 millimeters away from it is, 24.8272, and 38.1 above. You watch this. I'm going to tell it to go to 0, and it's going to come right over to the center of the cutter. We're right on that corner. There we go. Go to 0. Isn't that insane? I love it. Right on it. Now, I'm not going to put the dust shroud on, but I am going to lift it up a little bit. And you can see here, you can see the circle and all the coordinates. And you can see where the corner is right there. So I'm clear of that screw. See, I've put a screw to hold it down, and there's a screw way over here as well. I think you should get a good view from there. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. We're about to start the machine up, so I'll start the dust extractor up in a second. I'm going to come back out here and have a quick look. Don't try that with a V-bed. Do you have to do this with every project you set up? Yeah, but I'm slowing it down a lot for you guys. Once you start doing this kind of stuff, it's automatic. Now, I got these guys on, so I'm safe here. And believe me, you want to wear them. I'm going to turn the dust extractor on first. That's outside. I haven't got the shield around here, but there is a bit of a draft happening here. It's going to throw a lot of rubbish around, but just for demonstration, you guys will want to see this. I need to turn the variable frequency drive on, which is the second box. Okay, now I always do a check. I make sure there is nothing on this machine bed apart from that job. I make sure that the variable frequency drive is on. I make sure that the code was in first. I make sure that the cutter is in, you know, away from everything. Dust extraction's running. And if I was Catholic, I'd cross myself as well. But here we go. I stand beside the emergency stop whenever I start the machine up. I'm going to hit the cycle start. And looking at everything there, here we go. Spinning her up. Beautiful. Now I'm going to turn the variable frequency drive off and the dust extractor. And I'm going to change the cutter. So that, my friends, is the cleanest cut you will see. I'm going to raise her up, page up. That's about high enough. I'll bring this up to here so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that spiral down out and put a spiral up instead. The spanners, basically this is just a router. That's all it is, and the computer is telling it what to do. So I've got a 20mm spanner here and a 30mm spanner there, and I'm going to get it so that I can squish them like that. That's the easiest way to do it. Now, ordinarily, if I'd been doing a fair bit of work, I would take the clamp, the collet out of there and shake it and give it a tap to remove any dust. But that's such a small amount that I've done there that it's not worth it. Tighten it back up, because there wouldn't have been anything going in there at this stage. And I give this, with the strength of Samson, I do not want anything coming out of there while I'm cutting. Now this is a spiral upcut, so it's going to be turning and lifting sawdust up towards the machine. Remember, spiral up is towards the machine, spiral down, which is this one, is down away from the machine. You may be able to see the difference in the flutes. Okay, good. I'm going to change the I'll bring you back over here so you can watch what I'm doing. I'm going to get rid of the code, the G code, and I'm going to load the new G code, which is the slot spiral up. That's what I called it. And we'll open that. It's going to load it into there. There we go. It's only a text file. That's all it is. Now, it's all been set. I'm not changing anything. Now, it's 135 above. I'm just going to go page down, and you watch it's coming down to 0. So it's 4.975 above 0. Okay? So if I say go to 0, you can watch it. There it is. Oh, it's beautiful. Oop, that isn't 0. Of course, I've got to touch the bottom because I've changed the cutter. Okay, that was nearly a big mistake. See, always thinking. And I bet you there were people in the background saying, Dave, you haven't set the 0 for there. There we go. I'm not going to change the X and Y. I'm just going to change the Z because I've changed the cutter. The X and Y are exactly the same because it's still a 1/4 inch cutter. Not a problem. Now I need to auto tool 0, and it only offers me, the Z always. It offers me the option of doing the X and Y if I want to. So I've got the magnet on. It's very important. Make sure if you don't have the magnet on, it's just going to bury itself into that, and that's ugly. And you know why I know? See that black tape? Say no more. And I'm going to hit the enter button. and she's going to start going down. I'm standing beside this, once bitten, twice shy. Done. There we go. I'll take this off. Now, if I tell it to go to 0, it should come straight over to here and be good. Oh, look at that. Don't you love it? There we go. Perfect. That wasn't a mistake. I did that on purpose. Okay, here we go. I'm going to make sure that you guys can see what's happening. And I think you should be good. These things here I built as a protection for the sensors. These sensors here are extremely sensitive, and I don't want anything to happen to them. All good. 10 past and we're still cooking with gas. I'm going to do a quick read. Give me a second, I'm over here. Here we go. Dave, is the board head down with screws? Yes, it is, Stephen. Do you have to re-zero after change bits? Yes, I do, Brian. I did that just for you. Okay. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Here we go. I'm going to go back out there and start the machine up. I'm just looking at it on the screen here. Ah, dear, the things we do. All right, I'm going to turn the dust extractor on, and I'm using my remote here. So she's pulling through here, even though it's not collecting much. It's working. And I've got to turn on my variable frequency drive over here. And I do my check again. Drive, dust. There is absolutely nothing on the table that shouldn't be there. I have the correct code in called spiral up. And I've got my X, Y, and Z correct. The speed and everything is good. It's showing what's going to happen. I'll cycle start. And here we go. Standing beside the emergency stop again. We're traveling in exactly the same areas, but it's going to do the full cut. There we go. Now I can do that plunge because it's a spiral down. It's a spiral up. And it's got the cutters right across the bottom. If it was a twin flute, I couldn't have done that. So the dust extractor is getting some of it. And you see it coming up to 10 millimeters above the workpiece. So it's going to lift up 10 millimeters above the job at the moment, and we'll start doing the circle. I could have done this with a bandsaw or a jigsaw and a belt sander or a drum sander, not drum sander, a belt sander, or a disc sander, and it would have been fine. But now the next pass is going to lift up and down as it goes over the tabs. You watch. Anytime now, up it'll go, down, up to the 12 o'clock, and it'll go up now, down, and the same thing. Over there and finished. I'm going to page up and across. I hit the shift button to make it go quickly, and then down the back a little bit, out of the way. I'll turn off the variable frequency drive, leave that cutter in there, and I'll get a chisel and we'll lift it out. Small chisel and my mallet, and I'll turn the dust extractor off, take my eye muffs off. Can that one, beautiful. So we have, that's so nice. The tabs are down there somewhere. Ordinarily I would bring my dust extractor, the little dust extractor in. Okay, there's a tab there. And there's a tab at 12 o'clock. And a tab down here. Just dragging along so I can feel it underneath with the chisel. That should have it released. Look at that. Now, it was slightly larger than 18 millimeters. And there as well. So every now and then I have to do a little bit of a clean up after it, but I'm gonna put a round over and a round over, and I'm not doing that today. I haven't got time, but that's it. I'm gonna take it out to the other room, turn the camera on in the other room. Where are we? Main camera. Switch a Rooney. I'll tip it up ever so slightly. So we get Zoe's workshop sign in there. Otherwise all the females in the family will give me a hard time. So there we go. From, just something in here, through software, machining, done. I did it on a piece of scrap. That's what those old holes are from. And as I say, I'll do around it, but how clean is that spiral down cut on everything there? All right. What would the design process for multiple items? There's a thing called array copy. So I would highlight, I change things. I'm thinking about getting a haircut next week. I can't do it on Tuesday because I've still got a little bit of work to do on a video that I'm doing for someone else. And it'd look funny if halfway through the video, all of a sudden I'm a skinhead. But it's winter and I don't really want to go out and do it, but I was thinking, I don't know, people are giving me a hard time. And I don't want to look like one of those tragic old guys that's trying to relive his youth. But what's wrong with that? But anyway, so the question here. So with, there's a thing called array copy. So I highlight all of the vectors in that one little area, and I tell Aspire how many columns and how many rows I want of that. And that will, put it all out. So I can say the size of the board, distance between each of the copies, and away you go. But I'm good with it, but there's a couple of things that I'm still trying to tweak up with that so that I'm fine. All right, well, I think that's about it, guys. I'm sorry I went over 20 minutes. This is terrible. Let me see what we've done. Salvage and antique dresser, we're continuing the project, so we've cut those mirror supports out, went through a process of thicknessing and cutting with the bandsaw, and then, maybe next week, I might do a bit during the week. I'll do some more. So we used everything. We didn't use the bobbin sander. Replace the splinter guard on the guide rail. I haven't done that this week. I'm not going to get to it. We'll do that next week because it's an interesting process, the way that I do it. I'm going to show you the way to marry it up so that all of the guard is correct, not just the part in the center of the saw or the center of the track. This Aspire, we created the wind chime tube support and the machine with the Avid CNC, which I did. Support the channel through Patreon and the Amazon links below. And don't forget also, go to the links and also go down to the comment section and put comments in there regarding winning the eye muffs. I just grabbed them. It will be a pair of the standard eye muffs. Now, last time I said it's going to be the standard, and George sent out the Pro, the G6 model. But these, I wear these more than the other one. If I was doing a really dusty job, I'd wear the G6s, but these things I find are very easy and convenient to throw on. People supporting the channel through Patreon, and have a think about it if you wish. That keeps me keen and makes me focus on getting interesting content for you. Most informative as usual. Buy all, say so. Okay, see you later. Okay, so the people that are supporting the show, and this is a particular level, a particular tier: Chris Sullivan, Johannes Moa, John W., John Parra, Vincent Nyang, Andrew Haverlive, John Lafferty, Peter Woolworth, Brian Shaw, Brian Del Vecchio, Justin Bailey, Ken Wheels, Michael Christophers, and Brett Guthrie. Special thanks to those guys, but also a huge thank you to everyone who supports me through Patreon, because it's all about this show. This takes a little while for me to set it up and everything, but I don't want to be a bleeding heart, but it does take a bit of time. So if you can help me out there, that's fantastic. And one thing I noticed, I went to one of my daughter's netball games yesterday, and I didn't wear a blue shirt. I wore a shirt from Avid CNC. They sent me one over. They said, wear whatever you want. I thought, well, there's not going to be much chance. So I thought I'd wear it out. And it had Avid across it, AVID. My daughter said, Dad, did they forget your first letter on your name? Think about it. All right, I think that's good. Oh no, we've got people's viewers. We've got viewers. Give me a second. Here we go. Steve Rogerson. Okay, so Steve sent a couple of things in to me. I'll read these quickly at the end. Here we go. Steve, hi Dave, big thank you for continuing with your YouTube sessions. I don't get to see it live too often, but I'm always keen to catch up with the show later. Hope you can appreciate the work I've been doing over the last couple of months, as I've retired from my teaching job and begun selling my work at the local markets at Mornington Peninsula. So there's Steve's setup, and where's the next picture? This is one of the end grain chopping boards that he sells, and that looks really, really nice. And here's another one, is a box. Now there's some work in that. And look at the lid in that. Is that a burl of some sort there, Steve? What's the next thing? Then we've got James Kosharek, I should say. Hi Dave, how are you? And I'll flick this picture over so you can watch it all the way through. I'm fine here in Milwaukee. Friday, 10:45 a.m. CTZ, I guess that's Central Time Zone, 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Here is a picture of the rocking chair I made for my 9-year-old great-granddaughter, Izzy. I used the eye muffs through the build. I won them on your channel. Izzy outgrew the rocker her grandmother bought her 3 to 4 years ago. On the headrest, I've engraved a picture of us having fun last year playing mini golf. How cool is that? She lives 1,200 miles away in South Carolina, and she visits us for several months when she is out of school. Her time here is precious, and the chair reminds us of her all year. That's great. Thank you so much for that. And he was a lucky winner in the States. Beautiful. All right, guys, I think that's all this time. I think so. I must give away. Check the box down there. Look after yourselves, be nice to each other, and I've got to get this one here. I have got to. Look after yourselves, be kind to each other, and I shall see you next week. Bye.